So this is problem one of the final review. I have one and quadrant four already done to save some time, but I will do quadrant two and three here. So first you find the coordinates. So for example, this one would be -1, 1. One above that would be -1, 2. To the left of that, -2, 2. And then finally -2, 1. What you do with these is you plug them into the formula given here. So this top left one would be -2, 2. This is x, this is y. This becomes y prime equals 2, and then you plug in -2 for x divided by y, which is also 2. And then this will give you the slope. So -2 divided by, or -2 times 2 divided by 2 is just -2. So this gives us our slope for the point -2, 2. So around, it would look something like this. For the next one, -1, 2. Same idea. You just plug in y prime equals 2, -1 divided by y, which is also 2. That becomes -1. So the slope here would be over 1, down 1. The next one would become -2, 1. Y prime equals 2 divided by -2 divided by 1. That's going to become -4. So something like this, really steep. The final one in quadrant 2 is -1, 1. And then that's going to turn into y prime equals 2 times -1 divided by 1. It's going to become -2. So slope here looks something like this. So I did the same idea for quadrant 1 and 4. This one is quadrant 2. Now I just need quadrant 4. So coordinates here, again, it would be -1, 1. This would be -1, -2, -2, -1, -2, -2. And I just plug in the coordinates. So the top left one first would be -2, -1, x, y, y prime equals 2 times -2 divided by y, which is -1. That becomes -4, +4. So the slope here would look like a reflection of this one. Next one, -1, -1. So again, that's going to be -2 divided by -1. It's just going to be 2. A little less steeper than the one before it. Finally, the last two, -2, -2. When you plug it in, it becomes 2 times -2 divided by -2. That's going to turn out to be -4 divided by -2. It's just negative or +2. So this one's going to be the same as the one diagonally from it. Or that's wrong. It should look a little steeper, something like this. Last one, -1, -2. Y prime equals 2 times -1 divided by -2. That's going to become -2 divided by -2. That's just going to be 1 positive. So that's going to be 1 right here. And that's 4 points for each quadrant for question 1. Now we have problem 2b, differential equations. Solve the following differential equation: x times y prime equals 3yx squared. So the first step is to rewrite the equation, but instead of writing y prime, we do dy over dx. It's going to be x dy dx equals 3y x squared. Then next, we combine we move the x dx to the right side, and then we move the y to the left side. So that would be dy divided by y equals 3x cubed, or x, just x dx. And then next, you take the integral of dy over y is just the natural log of y. And then the 3 can be pulled out of the integral, so it just becomes 3/1/2 x squared. Next, we can rewrite this as natural log of y equals 3/2 x squared. To get rid of the integral, or to get rid of the log, natural log, to solve for y, we have to raise it to we have to put an e here. E and natural log cancel out. So now it's just y equals e to the 3/2 x squared. And then we have a plus k or plus c up here, plus c. And then down here, the plus c would separate and become e to the c, which just becomes k. So times k. Or it could be rewritten as k e 3/2 x squared. This is problem 3a, numerical methods to solve integrals. So we have an integral here from 0 to 5 of x squared with 8 intervals. So we have the formula here, and all we got to do is plug in the values. So first, we plug in what we know. So a equals 0, b equals 5. N is the intervals, which is 8. F of x is just x squared. And then we need the jump, which is the step that it's going to take every time, which is from x0 to x1 and x2. So the jump is b minus a over n. So it's just 5 over 8. Now we just plug in to this part of the formula and solve. So b minus a times 2n is 5 over 16. Then we have f of 0 is the starting interval, which is 0, plus 2 times f of, and the jump is 5/8, so it's going to be 0 plus 5/8, which is just 5/8, plus another 5/8, which is 10/8. Another 5/8. And then this is going to keep going until you get to 40. Running out of space, so we can make it a little smaller. And then we need 2f of 35 over 8 plus, and the final one, the first and the final one do not have a 2, so it's just f of 40 over 8, which is just f of 5, which is our ending interval. When you simplify this, it becomes 5 over 16. F of 0 is just a 0 when you plug in 0 for the f of x. And then we get 25 over 32. Next one is 25 over 8. And then we have 625 over 32. Or no, we have 225 over 32. And then 25 over 2. And then 625 over 32. And then 225 over 8. And then 1225 over 32. And finally, plus 25. When you plug this into a calculator, the final answer you get is 5,375 all over 128. And that's approximately 41.9922. This is the final answer. This is question 11, part C, integration techniques. I'm doing integration by parts. So this is using the chart method, actually. So what we're doing here is taking this integral, which is the integral of 3x sine 3x. And we're splitting it in the middle into a chart. And on the left side, we're taking the integral. On the right side, we're taking the derivative. We do this until the left side becomes 0. So the first integral of this becomes, actually, so this should be, the left side is the derivative. The right side is the integral. So we're going to take the derivative until it gets to 0. Next derivative of this one is just 3. Next step just becomes 0. So we stop there. So we need 2 more squares on the right side. Derivative, or the integral of sine 3x, is going to be 1/3 sine of 3x. Next step is you take the integral of 1/3 sine 3x. That's going to become 1/9 sine 3x. And then what you do from here is you, you multiply 3x by this, 3 by this part, and then this first one is positive, this is negative, this is positive. So the first step is you multiply 3x by 1/3 sine 3x plus, or actually negative, so it'll be minus 3 1/9 sine 3x. And then usually you would also multiply this bottom one by this other bottom one, but it's 0, so it's we're just gonna leave it out. So we can simplify this out to x x sine x, or sine 3x, minus 1/3 sine 3x. And then, of course, plus c. And then this is the final answer.